Competitive Pokémon Showdown can be overwhelming, especially for new or casual players. But despite not being a top player or anything, I've still come up with 6 tips that should help make improving less daunting. Also, just a quick note, this video is mainly meant for singles formats, even more specifically Gen 9 OU and Gen 9 random battles. With all that out of the way, enjoy! Tip number 1. Use commands. Pokémon Showdown has a bunch of commands for battling. However, the most useful ones for battles are /DT, /weak, /coverage, and /random for random battles. /DT shows information about any ability, item, move, or Pokémon, and is super useful for figuring out how different parts of the game work. /weak shows the weaknesses of a Pokémon or typing. /coverage shows the effectiveness of a move or typing, and /random shows what moves, abilities, and items or random battles Pokemon can have. Tip number 2. Learn how Pokemon work. Just by playing the game, you'll know how certain Pokemon work and what makes them at least slightly useful. Knowing how each individual Pokemon works is super important to not be taken off guard. For example, Cerulege is a Pokemon that aims to win by getting an attack boost from Swords Dance, getting a speed boost from its ability Weak Armor, and then sweeping. In this game, you can switch into Toxapex, which walls Cerulege instead of giving in to the temptation of using a physical move, activating Weak Armor and making Cerulege much stronger. Tip number 3. Utilize waiting moves. Oftentimes, you'll be tempted to use the strongest possible move if you think you have a clear shot. However, sometimes it's better to just use a waiting move, mainly if you think your opponent can't hurt you or you think they're going to switch. For example, in this game, using Headlong Rush with Great Tusk is tempting, as it would be 4 times effective, but the opponent will likely just switch. Instead, use Knockoff or Stealth Rock, 2 very common moves for Great Tusk to use, as it covers a switch in and has more benefit later into the game. Tip number 4. Make predictions. Predicting what your opponent is going to do is another big part of the game. Using the last example, instead of using a waiting move, we can predict that the opponent is going to switch into Corviknight, and we can switch into Rotom Watch, which has a very good matchup against it. Simple predictions like this give you a big advantage and can win you games. Tip number 5. Don't overpredict. Predicting can help you win games, but making the wrong prediction can also lose games. For example, in this game, you might expect your opponent to switch from Dragapult to Tyranitar against the Chien because it walls its Ice and Dark type. However, some Chien use the move Sacred Sword, which would one-shot Tyranitar. The opponent might know this and stay in with Dragapult, or they may just stay in completely on accident. By expecting the opponent to switch into Tyranitar, you've overpredicted and now their Dragapult is much more threatening. Tip number 6. Look for unstoppable wins. Oftentimes, at the beginning of a game, you'll have an idea of how to win, but 1 or 2 Pokemon prevent this idea. For example, in this game, Toxapex is nearly unkillable, with the only threats to it being Rotom Wash and Landorus, as both can hit it for super effective damage. Therefore, if you revolve your gameplay around taking them out, Toxapex becomes unstoppable and wins the endgame. Thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you like this style of content and want me to do more things like it.